Welcome to video number 2 for chapter 15. Alright, today what we're going to start talking about is choosing the best medium or delivery method for your particular message. Now, there's no real easy way to answer the question that deals with what is the best medium to use for advertising. It really, I hate to say it, but it really does depend on a lot of situations. It depends upon your objectives. It depends upon the target market, their characteristics, their demographics. It depends upon how much money you have to spend. It depends upon something that's called frequency, reach, all this kind of stuff. So there's a lot that goes into it. But before you choose the medium, you have to have a specific promotion objective. What do you want to accomplish with this, and make sure that the medium does work along with that. You have to make sure that you do match the market with the media. Make sure that you are specifying the characteristics of the target market in order to select the media that you want to use. What do they like to listen to? What do they prefer? Do they prefer to see something? Do they prefer to hear something? Do they prefer to read something? What is their preference? You also have to make sure that you have a media that attracts a very high percentage of your particular target market. All right, that's very important. Make sure that you have enough funds available and you are choosing media that makes sense with the amount of money that you can spend within your budget. And remember, you're paying for the entire audience that the media delivers to, not just your target market. You're getting more than just your target market with this as well. Now, this will compare the characteristics of many different types of media, and I'm just going to be focusing on myself, the advantages and the disadvantages of some of these. All right, television. What television? Sorry about that. I just got a brief interruption. But with television, this is a way that you can actually demonstrate your product. This is a way for people to be able to see and hear. Some people are visual, some people are auditory. This is a way that you can do that. You have a very high reach. A wide variety of people watch television, and you can really select based upon the television show really who is watching a lot of these shows. Disadvantages is that it is very expensive. Okay, it is very expensive. The clutter is the sense that there are a lot of commercials. So it is kind of like clutter, and a lot of people don't actually pay attention to the commercials. Direct mail, some of the benefits is that it can be very flexible, can be personalized to the person or people that it is being sent to. Very selective, you can send it to whoever you want and ignore people as well. The disadvantages is that the major disadvantage, I think, is the fact that it is considered junk mail. A lot of people don't even read them. There can be a high cost per contact, which means that you have to pay for postage and envelopes and paper and ink and everything else that goes along into it, and a lot of the people just end up throwing it away anyway. The internet, some of the advantages, the advertisement itself is usually linked to an additional website, which is a lot more detailed, has a lot more information. So the advertisement is kind of vague, and it can be very attractive. Sometimes people click accidentally on them as well, which is not a problem for them. They don't mind that at all. Easy to track results just simply means they can tell how many people come to their site through these advertisements. All right. The disadvantages is that it's really difficult to compare the cost with the other media. The other media, it's much more easy to determine the cost and the effectiveness compared to the internet. Newspapers, they do offer the flexibility. You can put them in certain days of the week, certain times of the year, so timely placement is in there. A good local market coverage. You can go with more local base instead of just national as well. Disadvantages, some areas it's more expensive than others. Short life just simply means that there is not a whole lot of time that you're going to be able to see this. People will read it and then get rid of it, recycle it as well. And the clutter, once again, plays into an effect here. Okay, magazine is the next one. Magazines, very targeted. Magazines are deal with a specific topic or area of interest. So they have that. You can have a lot of detail with the graphics as well in the compared to a print advertisement in a newspaper. High pass-along rates is simply referring to the fact that some people will share their magazines with other people, so multiple people will be seeing the same advertisement when only one person purchases the magazine. Disadvantages include not being very flexible with it and long lead times as well. Moving on to radio, wide reach at a low cost, which is good. Also appeals to very segmented audiences, which means that only certain people are not only going to be listening to the radio, but you can really segment a lot of people based upon the type of music that is played on the radio station as well. Disadvantages, weak attention, short exposure, and varying rates. People a lot of times don't listen to the commercials, they'll turn to another station. Some people listen to their iPods instead, or XM, or anything like that as well. So those are some downfalls. Outdoor advertising is relatively inexpensive, but with the outdoor advertising, you have a short exposure rate. You see a billboard for a couple seconds, and that's it. So it's difficult there. Cinema, though, usually appeals to a younger audience. So you have anything dealing with the movies, dealing more with a younger audience. Lastly, Yellow Pages, they reach local customers. That's the big one. And these people are in need of something or someone, so they're looking at the Yellow Pages. So that's what the ready to buy is referring to, and it is inexpensive. But there are going to be a ton of competitors listed right there as well, so it's hard to differentiate yourself from the others. All right, this slide, most major media are now becoming more targeted to reach smaller, more defined target markets. There's, according to the book, there are some firms that are experimenting with ads on cell phones that target customers based upon their location. So if GPS is turned on, they will know where they're at and give them some deals and bargains, some advertisements, some promotions based upon where they're located. Also talking about must-buys, a must-buy is simply a medium that is you have to buy it. It's called a must-buy because you must buy into it and advertise on it, because that's the only way to reach a particular audience, specifically your target market in that regard. On this slide, just a couple things to be aware of. Internet ads do seek a direct response because it's the click-through. You see them, you click on them, that's your direct response. Websites like Facebook and Google have more information about their customers. Right? Facebook, you share things about yourself and pictures, all that kind of thing, what's going on in your life. So there's a little bit more information there. Most advertisers pay only if the ads deliver. A pay-per-click model is used here because you pay only if people click on that. Okay, that's the whole purpose behind that. Text ads, this is just using text messages to communicate with usually a younger market as well. Location-based services is what I was touching on a little bit in regards to the GPS location device, knowing where you are and then give you ads based upon where you're located. In planning the message, the thing that you really have to look at is what's called copy thrust, and that's the words, the pictures, anything that you use to communicate. All right? And the copy thrust itself needs to be designed to achieve some sort of promotion objectives. Those specific objectives that you want to accomplish, the copy thrust needs to be created to achieve those objectives. And we're going back to the AIDA model, whereas we're going to talk about getting attention, holding interest, arousing desire, and obtaining the action. And the first step of that is getting attention. The ad's first job is to get your attention. And this particular ad looks very delicious, muffins coming right out of the oven, so it does get a lot of people's attention here. Okay, billboards are something that are very good for getting attention if they're done right. So more than just getting attention, you have to hold people's interest. Involves linking the ad to something important to the customer, whether it be values, whether it be something you're interested in, a reference group, or whatever. Arousing desire is moving the customer to really want the product. It's pretty difficult for advertisements to do this, but it's something that is very important. Ads are also created to obtain action, which is part of what the consumer has to do. They are the ones who have to go out and actually buy the product, purchase it. So that's one of the major parts of an advertisement. All right, checking your knowledge. A famous athlete is featured in a commercial for a pain-relieving rub that can help soothe muscle aches and pains. He says, if it works for me, it'll surely work for you. This testimonial is mainly aimed at which stage of the AIDA model. And this is something that I think there's more than one answer to this particular one. I would definitely say that athletes help to gain interest in the product because it's just an athlete. And I think that also, since it works for them, it'll work for you. That could be arousing desire of the product as well. Advertising agencies. Advertising agencies are companies that specialize in planning and handling your mass media details. That's what they do. Okay, agencies provide an outside viewpoint and a lot of experience, a ton of experience. Sometimes they can do the job more efficiently, more effectively, and even sometimes at a lower cost than your in-house advertising department, and that's a huge benefit to you. The biggest agencies do handle much of the advertising. The mega advertising agencies, commonly referred to as the big three, account for more than half of all advertising agency revenues. So that's saying a lot. 3 companies account for half of the revenues. Measuring the effectiveness of advertising is not easy. It's important to remember that the different types of advertising don't always work towards the same goal. Success does depend on the total marketing mix, not just advertising. So if the product stinks but the advertisement's great, it's still difficult to be able to measure the effectiveness of the advertisement because the product itself is not appealing to people. Research can improve the odds. Product testing can improve the odds. Research and testing information about your target market can help improve your odds for success as well. And hindsight may lead to foresight, which simply means if consumers tell marketers about the ads and what they remember, what was good about it, what was bad about it, that information should be used to help refine current ads and even future ads. Last slide. In a lot of countries, the government agencies are the ones who may say what is allowed, is not allowed, what is fair, what is not fair or appropriate in regards to advertising. In the United States, the FTC is the company, the Federal Trade Commission is the company that controls any kind of unfair practices. Companies that violate any kind of regulations, they might have to be required to do some sort of affirmative disclosures. That's like on cigarettes. If you think of cigarettes, the health warnings that are on there, they're required to put those on there saying that their product can kill you, in essence, and it's very unhealthy. There's also corrective advertising, which means that if there's any kind of deceptive advertising that was on, the companies are going to be required to fix that through what's called corrective advertising. And the example that I think the book uses is where Listerine mouthwash at one point was advertising that if you use Listerine and gargle with Listerine that it would help prevent a cold, which was not true. There's a term called puffery, which is making exaggerated claims about your product as being the best, keyword best, finest, better than all others, those kind of things. You're not allowed to really be doing that. Supporting ad claims is a fuzzy area, which unfortunately is subject to a lot of interpretation by people. And that brings us to the end of video number 2.